There is a curious kind of person who wakes on their birthday and whispers nothing extraordinary to the morning. No countdowns, no confetti. They answer messages kindly, but they do not broadcast the date. If anything, they treat it like a normal day and feel more themselves for it. Before you assume it's indifference or low self-esteem, consider this. Sometimes refusing the spotlight is not a symptom, it is a philosophy. Tonight, we are going to walk into that philosophy with the lantern of depth psychology. We will explore why some people treat their birthday like any other day, how that choice can be a quiet act of self-definition, and what it reveals about persona, shadow, memory, and the deep human need for ritual. If you've ever felt guilty for not wanting to celebrate, this conversation will give you language for that feeling. If you love big birthdays, it might teach you to see the quiet people with kinder eyes. Welcome to Deep Psyche Lab. I'm glad you're here. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the hidden map behind low-key birthdays, the way early family rhythms shape our expectations of being seen, the ways we negotiate being the center of attention, and how Jung's idea of individuation, becoming more whole and more yourself, can sometimes look like a normal day that you crown from the inside. If you enjoy conversations that make ordinary life feel meaningful and precise, like this one, please subscribe to Deep Psyche Lab and turn on notifications. It helps the channel and it helps this kind of thinking find the people who are searching for it. And if you feel seen at any point, go ahead and like this video so it travels farther. In the comments, I'd love you to write the phrase, "I honor my day in my own way." That line will become a small ritual we share as a community. Let's start with an image. A birthday, culturally, is a stage. The lights warm your face, the cake is rolled in like a symbol, names rise in the air, and for a few minutes, everyone points their attention at you. Some people step onto that stage with ease. They know the choreography. For others, the stage feels like a mismatch between what's being celebrated and what is true. Jung called the mask we show the world the persona. It is the interface we use to make our way through society. Polite, competent, enjoyable. When an event demands a persona that does not fit, too glittery, too loud, too performative, some people opt out. Treating a birthday like a normal day can be a way of saying, "I will not wear the costume for your comfort. I will meet the day with my true face." There is also the question of time. A birthday is a reminder that time is flowing, that we have circled the sun again and did not fall off. Many people delight in that poetic fact. Others feel, beneath the surface, the ache of measuring. Somewhere in the body lives a sensitive mathematician who keeps the ledger. Where I thought I would be by now, what I said I would change. The gap between my imagined self and the living one. In Jungian terms, these measurement feelings can constellate into a complex, an emotional knot that lights up when touched. The birthday complex holds the stored electricity of comparison, the smell of past cakes and arguments, the echo of being forgotten or being forced to perform. If the complex is strong, the simplest move is to avoid the triggers. A normal day is a way to let time pass without poking the bruise. But it would be small to assume avoidance is the only reason. There is also a deliberate form of modesty that grows in people who mistrust grand declarations. They learned, through experience, that meaning thrives in the quiet. They bake a small cake with a friend and do not photograph it. They go for a walk, buy the good coffee, and use the day to listen to themselves. In a world drunk on spectacle, a normal day can be a profound refusal to turn intimacy into content. Jung's psychology reminds us that the sacred often hides in the ordinary. Individuation is the art of building a life that fits the shape of your soul, not the volume of the crowd. For some, the soul's shape prefers low tide. Where does this begin? Often in childhood. Imagine a household where birthdays were poured over with attention, banners, noise, the ritual of being the special one. That child may associate love with celebration and celebration with love. Now picture the opposite. A home where resources were thin, or adults were preoccupied, or the family did not believe in birthdays. Maybe the date was overlooked, or noticed only as a logistical note. The child learns a different mapping. Don't ask for the stage. Keep the day safe by keeping it simple. Neither story is inherently better. They are different climates that produce different flowers. As adults, we either keep the climate or brave a new one. Treating a birthday like a normal day can be an inherited weather pattern or a chosen forecast. There is a more subtle dynamic worth naming. Birthdays are culturally assigned as moments to receive. Gifts, attention, toasts. Many people are far more comfortable giving than receiving because giving keeps you in control. Receiving requires surrender. When someone hands you a gift, they are also handing you a mirror. You must let yourself be seen, at least for a moment, and you must accept that you are worth the trouble. If your inner critic is sharp, that mirror hurts. So the easiest way to avoid the mirror is to refuse the ritual. No gifts, please, becomes a protective charm. It's just another day becomes a shield against the tender work of being loved out loud. I want to suggest a different metaphor. Perhaps the birthday is not a stage at all. Perhaps it is a threshold. Liminal spaces, doorways, bridges, solstices, are where, in myth, transformation happens. A threshold asks for clear intention. What if the person who treats the birthday as normal is not ignoring the threshold, but choosing to cross it with fewer witnesses? Not every initiation needs an audience. Many of our most decisive inner shifts happen privately, on a bus, in a shower, while rearranging a bookshelf. Jung believed the psyche speaks in symbols, dreams, and rituals. Lighting a single candle at the kitchen table, alone, can be a ritual with as much meaning as a room full of applause. The difference is who the ritual is for. The persona returns here. People who are careful with birthdays are often careful with attention in general. They may be social, but they are measured. They know attention costs. It trains the nervous system to watch itself. It converts living into performing. A birthday can tilt that balance uncomfortably. The danger is not that people will look. It's that you might start looking at yourself as if through their eyes. If your life already requires a lot of outward performance, leadership roles, content creation, caretaking, the last thing you want is a mandatory performance day. Calling it a normal day is a way to free the inner witness from the audience. There is also grief. Birthdays are moored to memory. They carry the weight of who was there last year and is not here now. They remind you of the year cancer came, or the year the relationship broke, or the year you pretended to be happy in photos. For people carrying fresh losses, a party can feel like a refusal to speak the truth. Marking the day quietly becomes an act of honesty, the honor of not forcing a smile. Jung would ask, what is the psyche trying to do now? If the psyche is grieving, celebration is not medicine, silence is. Treating the day as normal is not denial, it is attunement. Yet I've met many people who say, I don't care about birthdays, and what they mean is deeper. They mean, the calendar's praise is not how I know I am alive. They mean, I want a life where the ordinary Tuesday carries as much life as the party's Saturday. They are not anti-joy. They are pro-continuity. They resist the cultural rhythm that says, today you matter more. In that sense, a normal day is a philosophical vote for evenness, a choice to weave meaning through daily rituals rather than on rare peaks. Make coffee in the nice mug. Call the friend. Go to bed early. Repeat tomorrow. Individuation loves this kind of rhythm because it respects the slow work of becoming. Let's talk about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we do not easily own. A shadow around birthdays can wear two opposite faces. The first is secret pride, the part that does in fact want to be adored, wants the room to rise and sing, and then punishes the world for not guessing. The second is secret shame, the conviction that you are not worth the trouble, that any fuss is an error the universe will correct by humiliation. Both shadows can express as, it's just a normal day. One masks longing, one masks fear. The work is to know which one shows up for you and to meet it with honesty so your adult choices are not held hostage by an old script. Jung often returned to the image of the self, with a capital S, the inner organizing center that draws us toward wholeness. In many traditions, the self is symbolized by a circle or a mandala, completeness without edges. A birthday at its best is a yearly circle drawn around you so you can see your life's symmetry and growth. How you draw that circle is your art. Some people host a feast because that is how their soul draws a mandala. Color, laughter, the sound of forks. Others draw the circle by journaling for an hour, by watching the sunrise, by cleaning a closet to make space for the year ahead. If you treat your birthday like a normal day, but you secretly draw some small circle in private, you are not skipping the ritual. You are choosing its geometry. There is also a moral dramatization that lives in our culture. Big birthdays equal big self-love. Quiet birthdays equal avoidance or sadness. That caricature breaks easily under scrutiny. Just as true are these sentences. Some of the loudest parties are masks for emptiness. Some of the quietest days are heavy with contentment. What matters is not the volume, but the fit. Fit is the core of psychological health, matching inner truth with outer life. Jung called it alignment with the self, though he never used that modern phrase. If you are aligned, a birthday becomes an echo of a deeper life rhythm. If you are misaligned, the day will feel like a strange performance, even in silence. Let's step into a house, any house, and look at a family kitchen on a birthday morning. In one home, the ritual is empirical. Gifts at breakfast, a silly song, a parent who kept traditions like a religion. In another, the ritual is improvised. Someone forgets the candles. Someone remembers the favorite pastry. The wind opens the back door. In a third, the ritual is a non-event. You go to school, you come home, and dinner is the same as yesterday. When you grow up, you often repeat what you were given or overcorrected. The person who felt invisible makes sure no one is invisible on their watch. The person who felt smothered learns to put air in every ritual. If you treat your birthday as normal now, it might be because normal was the safest thing in that kitchen. What about temperament? Some of this is introversion and extroversion, but we should be careful not to flatten it. Introverts are not allergic to joy. Extroverts are not empty without applause. The deeper temperamental difference here is about arousal and recovery. Being the center of attention spikes the nervous system. For some people, that spike is fun. For others, it is costly. If your life already demands a lot of nervous system spikes, work, commuting, caregiving, you may instinctively protect your birthday from another one. That protection is wisdom, not pathology. There is an ethic hidden in quiet birthdays that I admire. The ethic of untheatrical gratitude. Instead of declaring, "I will make this day special," the person says, "I will notice the special that is already here." They pay attention to the way the afternoon light changes, to the message from an old friend that arrives at the exact moment they needed it, to the strawberry that tastes like June. They let small things be enough. The shadow of this ethic is that it can become self-erasure. Sometimes you should ask the restaurant to bring the dessert with a sparkler, not because you need it, but because play enlarges us. The art is not to abandon yourself to either extreme. The art is to know when your normal is a genuine expression and when it's a disguise for fear. Let's enter the theme of agency. Whose birthday is it? That sounds obvious, but many people have never been given permission to own their day. They feel squeezed by the expectations of family or friends. They say yes to the dinner they do not want because they do not know how to disappoint others without betraying themselves. Jung did not write self-help scripts, but individuation demands a confident no when necessary. To treat a birthday as normal is often an early exercise in boundary voice. I appreciate the love. This year I want simple. Boundaries are not walls. They are clear lines that let warmth be real. There's a different group of people who keep their birthdays quiet for a more philosophical reason. They feel suspicious of milestones because milestones tend to hijack meaning. Life, they argue, is a continuity of attention, not a series of trophies. They say, "Every day is a day I was born, because every day I am born again into my choices." They listen to the Stoics. They keep memento mori in their pockets, not to be morbid, but to make each day precious without the theater. For them, a normal birthday is a practical expression of a spiritual idea. Let your gratitude be daily, not episodic. If this is you, I want to invite a thought experiment. Imagine you could design a birthday from scratch that feels like a normal day but includes 3 elements: reflection, connection, and renewal. Reflection is 5 or 10 honest minutes naming what you learned this year, what you survived, and what you would like to grow next. Connection is a conversation with someone who sees you without costume. One person is enough. Renewal is one small act that physically tells your body, we are moving forward. Washing your sheets, planting a herb, walking a new street, deleting an old folder. None of these require spectacle, yet each one is a ritual of the self. We should also talk about the economy of birthdays. Some people have learned that celebrations are expensive in money, energy, cleanup. They prefer not to convert affection into logistics. The kitchen doesn't have to be a battlefield to prove that love exists. They ask friends to save their money. They say, "Text me a memory instead," and mean it. This is not stinginess. It is a revaluing. The currency here is meaning, not expenditure. Jung might say these people are resisting the collective's idea of what counts as celebration and reclaiming a private myth. A private myth is the story you tell yourself to make sense of your life that is not entirely the culture story. If your myth values quiet, you are allowed to keep it. There are, of course, people who truly forget their birthdays or remember and shrug. Their psychology is not always loaded. Sometimes a season of life is simply full, and the day slips by because your attention is married to other thresholds. A newborn, a move, a deadline, a recovery. Depth psychology has room for the ordinary explanation. Not every choice is an existential declaration, and yet, even in those seasons, tiny rituals sustain us. Lighting a match, whispering a thanks, taking a long breath at a red light, these are threads that keep us stitched to ourselves. Let's face a challenging corner. Resentment. A person who treats their birthday as normal might carry a quiet resentment that others don't remember. And the resentment disguises itself as indifference. It's fine, they say. It's just a day. But a small voice inside says, I wish someone would notice. This is the moment for courage. Jung would warn us about the corrosive effects of unlived life. If you want to be remembered, you can say, my birthday is next week. I'd love to have coffee. That is not neediness, it is clarity. We sometimes expect others to be mind readers so we can avoid making our desire explicit. But desire named is a doorway to intimacy, and intimacy is the opposite of resentment. The opposite problem also exists. People who love you may insist on celebrating you to express their love. They feel shut out if you say no. They take your quietness as a personal rejection. Learning to decode each other's love styles is part of grown friendship. Maybe you compromise. A small thing now, a bigger thing another time. A shared walk instead of a surprise party. A note instead of a cake. Love is a translation exercise. Your privacy translated into their generosity. Their gestures translated into your comfort. When both sides offer translation instead of accusations, birthdays stop being battlegrounds and become classrooms. I think about dreams here. The psyche uses dreams to bring the unconscious into dialogue with our waking life. If a birthday is approaching and you dream of missing a train, or losing your phone, or finding a childhood room untouched, you might be encountering the parts of you that feel left behind by the passage of time. The dream is not telling you to throw a party. It is asking you to turn toward the younger self who still wants what you have not given. Maybe that self wants attention. Maybe it wants play. Maybe it wants reassurance that growing older does not mean growing colder. Treating your birthday like a normal day does not preclude answering those dreams. It might make room for them. I met a person once who said, I love my birthday because it is a day when I listen harder. She did not celebrate publicly. She kept working. But she turned the volume down on obligations and up on the quiet signals of her life. She noticed which tasks felt lighter. She noticed which conversations fed her. She used the day as a map to adjust the year. That is an individuated move, using a moment in time to align the entire arc more closely with your real values. A normal day, yes, but also a tuning fork. Here is a tender truth. For some, birthdays hurt because they track the distance between the life they want and the life they have. The temptation is to punish the day for revealing that distance. The wiser move is to use the revelation. If the day is disappointing, listen to the disappointment. What is it pointing at? Loneliness? A career that pays but doesn't sing? A fatigue that sleep cannot fix? Depth work is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is making one phone call you have avoided, or building the courage to say, I need help, or stepping into a small class that reignites an old love of drawing. The day can be normal and still be a doorway into change. There is a mystery at the center of all this. We are both the same person and a new person each year. The ego, our everyday manager, likes to think in straight lines. The self thinks in spirals. It brings us back to the same places with new eyes. If you treat your birthday like a normal day, you might be practicing this spiral wisdom, letting the day be a return rather than a performance. You return to your kitchen, your desk, your route, and quietly sense the difference in yourself. You say, last year I would have scrolled to escape this feeling. This year I can sit with it. That is growth, and it is not photogenic, and it is real. Now, a word to those who love someone who keeps their birthday low. Believe them. Believe that normal can be sacred, but do not disappear. Offer a gesture with no strings. A letter is a good currency. A walk where you ask them about their year is a good ritual. A gift that says, I see how you live, rather than I wish you lived differently, is a good grammar. The point is to honor their shape while still bringing your affection to the table. If you are listening and thinking, I've always thought ignoring my birthday was a flaw, I want to place a different story in your hands. Your way might be a form of quiet sovereignty. The culture throws many parties to distract us from listening. You have learned to listen without the party. That is not lesser. It is another excellence. Of course, if your normal day is secretly a bunker and you are using it to hide from love, then the work is to risk a little more light. Courage can look like telling one friend, "This year, call me at noon." Courage can look like saying yes to the slice of cake, even if your instinct is to avoid the fuss. Individuation is not rigid. It is responsive. It asks, "What is alive for me now?" and follows that answer, not last year's rule. There is one more layer, the mythic. In myth, heroes rarely celebrate their birthdays. Their initiations happen in forests and deserts and back kitchens. They are gifted names or tasks, not balloons. The Psyche loves myth because myth tells us that ordinary days can hold extraordinary meaning. If you treat your birthday as normal, you are not absent from myth. You might be closer to it. The kitchen table where you write your reflection is the forest clearing. The quiet commitment you make to yourself is the sword in the stone. The candle you light alone is a small sun that says, "Return and grow." I want to offer you a simple practice you can carry if it resonates. On the morning of your birthday, or any day you wish to honor, ask yourself 3 sentences. First, what am I grateful to have survived this year? Second, what desire keeps tapping that I am willing to admit? Third, what can I do today, within my real life, that would make next year's version of me feel cared for? Write 1 line under each. Close the notebook. Live. The practice takes minutes and costs nothing, but it turns a normal day into a conversation with your deeper time. If you've been listening with a tight chest because birthdays have been complicated or painful, breathe. You are allowed to design your life. You are allowed to say no to spectacle. You're also allowed to say yes to small joy. Jung taught us to hold tension, not to collapse one truth into another. The tension here is that your birthday can be both ordinary and holy. You can keep your day normal and still let love reach you. You can receive without performance. You can give without erasing yourself. You can choose. Before we close, let me speak directly to you who will quietly move through your next birthday. When the day comes, notice something alive and let it touch you. Let the sun on your skin be a toast. Let the text from your cousin be a thread to a longer conversation. Let the ache you feel about time be a promise to treat your days less like obstacles and more like rooms you are allowed to furnish. If you are willing, light a candle and whisper your phrase, "I honor my day in my own way." That is a small magic. Small magic repeated becomes a path. I'd like to recap the heart of what we've explored. People who treat their birthday like a normal day are not necessarily avoiding life. Often they are practicing a different ritual grammar, choosing the ordinary over the theatrical, trusting the slow rhythm of individuation over the single peak of a party, negotiating attention in a way that protects their nervous system and tells the truth about how they give and receive love. For some, the quiet day guards a tender complex around being seen or remembered. For others, it expresses a hard-won sovereignty. The work is to know your motive, to offer yourself a fitting ritual, no matter how small, and to allow connection without surrendering your shape. The memorable line I want to leave you with is simple. The day does not make you special. How you meet the day reveals the shape of your soul. If this conversation resonated, please like the video so it can reach other thoughtful people. In the comments, write the phrase, "I honor my day in my own way." And if you feel comfortable, share one quiet ritual that makes sense to you. It could be a walk, a letter, or making your favorite breakfast. If you're new here, subscribe to Deep Psyche Lab for more episodes where psychology meets meaning in everyday life. And tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. This channel is educational and not a substitute for therapy. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of your thresholds, and I'll see you in the next episode from Deep Psyche Lab.